For those already on, I see there's an iPhone, there's an owner and a P tag. If they could rename themselves to, just even their first name, and if they're an owner, if they're from a restaurant or something. Yeah, Max, iPhone has his hand raised. I guess he wants to know how to do it.
I just unmuted owner. I don't see iPhone just yet. You have to confirm to. Try now.
So person named iPhone, would you just identify yourself?
Yeah, Dionisio Fontana for Le Turc Restaurant. I am the neighbor of his, 254 East 74th.
Could you just rename yourself to just the first name or something?
I got it.
Dionisio will be fine.
That's fine. Thank you.
It's fine. I already got it.
Okay, thank you.
And I just unmuted someone named owner as well with the blue and white shirt.
Yes, Charles Lynn. I'm the attorney for A La Turca.
Charles, got it. Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
You're renaming him.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
For any members of the public that have already joined, if you are here for the A. Hernandez 60 and 61, 3rd Avenue 60 and 61, Kavanagh, 2nd Avenue between 94 and 95, La Guerra, 245 East 80th Street, or L&L New Beginning, Lily, 3rd Avenue between 60 and 61. These have been laid over and we will not hear them tonight. So if you're here for one of those, no, if you want to hang around, but if you're here specifically for those, they will not be appearing tonight.
So while folks are coming in, just before we get started, before cause gets going, if it's your first time at one of our Community Board 8 virtual Zoom public meetings, welcome. But also just want to explain a little bit about how the meeting will go. You'll notice that everybody is muted and you're not able to unmute yourself. So the way that we will recognize you, whether it's your time to present your application, or if you're from the public and you want to comment on an application that's before the board, we'll ask you to use the raise hand feature that you can find on Zoom. I recognize that Zoom has actually started updating their software recently, and so some of the locations may be different than where you either maybe have found it previously in the past, or whether where where I'm about to describe it. But usually you will find a list of actions that you can find at the bottom of your screen, or maybe sometimes the top of your screen, that say mute, turn on and off your video. There's a button there beside it that says participants. So usually you'll click that button and you should be able to find the raise hand button there. If it is not there, look under more or reactions. And if you still can't get it, I can see most everyone. So please just start waving and I'll be able to see. But preference is not to do that because it is a little bit extra work. There is a chat feature. You'll only be able to chat me. So I'm really there just to answer questions about using the software, which it sounds like I don't know much about it right now because they're changing it. But you can chat me if you're having problems, raising your hand, finding the raise hand button. I'll be able to unmute you if you flag yourself for me via the chat. But I won't be able to answer any of your questions about the applicants or the applications. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Kaz, who's chairing our meeting tonight, and ask him to get started whenever he's ready.
Okay, welcome everybody to the January 2021 Street Life Committee meeting. I'm Kaz, substituting for Abraham. As I mentioned before, we have 4 layovers. If you're here for one of those, we will not be hearing them tonight. If you look at the agenda, they're under the layover tab. So if you're specifically for one of those, you need not hang around unless you want to listen to us. Also, please note that if you're on video, everybody can see what you're doing, what you're drinking, what you're eating. So don't embarrass yourself. Let's keep it clean. Okay, the first item, 1A. VIGI Gourmet, 96 Corp, DBA Enzo Bruni, La Pizza Gourmet, 1827 2nd Avenue. Is the applicant here?
Pierre, I believe that's you, and you should be able to unmute yourself.
Is it Pierre? Piero Massimo, yes.
I thought I saw you unmute. Try that again, Pierre. Piero. Piero Massimo?
Yeah, he was there earlier on.
He was. Do you want to come right back to him?
Yeah, okay, let's go to 1B, Roy Quinn. CQHQ LLC, 60% food, 40% drink, liquor, wine, beer, and cider. Can you tell us something about the establishment and why you're applying at this stage?
And would the applicant please raise their hand? It's supposed to be Rory Quinn, maybe? Actually, Piero, are you there? We can see you and hear you. No.
Not here.
Max, is that you?
Can you hear me, sir?
No, that wasn't me. I think that's Piero.
Yes, this is Piero Massimino speaking.
Okay, if you want to.
For
Okay.
the first, after the second, I was called.
Okay. So tell us, it's only wine, beer, and cider?
That's correct.
75 food,
So,
25 drink.
applicant, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No, I'm just reading 75 food, 25 drinks, wine, beer, and cider. And tell us about the restaurant that you're applying for.
So the restaurant is a traditional Italian pizzeria with a full menu offered in the kitchen. Right now, they are not able to offer the full menu because they are not being able to operate the kitchen as they're still waiting for the inspection from the fire department for the gas and the gas compliance. So they are just operating as they are just using the pizza oven. It's say a traditional establishment in the Italian sense with a traditional dough, and the idea is to make it a family-friendly place. Right now, again, due to COVID and due to the fact that they are still a huge backlog of inspection with the fire department, the restaurant is not operating as it was intended, but it's open, and maybe some of you have already had the chance to experience it. The owner the name of the owner is Vincenzo Brunito. This is the third restaurant he owns. The other two are or were hosted in a food court. One is the famous Gansworth, and this is the first restaurant for which he's applying for a liquor license.
Wait a minute, it's wine, beer, and cider, or is it a full liquor license?
No, for wine, beer, and cider only.
Okay. And what are your hours?
But in the other restaurant, come again, I'm sorry.
What time will you be opening and what time will you be closing?
It won't be open after 11 o'clock p.m. and it will be opening at 11 a.m.
Okay. Anybody?
And that's also during.
Yeah, sorry. Anybody from the public here for this item?
And again, if you join us late, use the raise hand feature so that we can call on you if you would like to speak about item 1A. If you're on the phone, it's *9 to raise your hand. It doesn't look like you have anybody from the public who.
Okay, let's go to the current chair first. Russell.
Thanks. I'm going to move to approve so we can go to Marco if he has a separate comment.
Marco?
I have a comment. I was the first person to raise. Okay, thank you.
Do you have anything, Marco, or can we approve it?
No, motion to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Marco. Okay, if we'll do the unanimous unless somebody from the board objects. Do we have any objections from the board? Otherwise, it'll go down as a unanimous. Okay. Thanks, Piero.
Piero,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Cause while we get the next person unmuted, I see that they're joining. I'm just going to read the members that are here so that we have a record.
Yeah.
It's you, Cause, Alita, Barbara Rudder, Marco, and Valerie Mason, and Russell Squire.
Oh,
If
Valerie's
I missed
on.
anybody, please raise your hand so I can make sure you're accounted for as we will be using this. Valerie, we got you.
I can include them all on the first count, Will. They were all here.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so 1A will go down as unanimous. Okay, let's go to 1B. Roy Quinn, is he? Can we unmute him?
Yeah, he just needs to unmute himself. Just confirm.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I was trying to get in on the laptop and it wouldn't let me, so I finally got the phone.
Okay, so this is for liquor, wine, and beer. 60% food, 40% drinks.
Yes.
What time are your hours?
Sorry?
What time are your hours of operation?
So Monday to Thursday, we are going to be 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. Friday, Saturday, we will be 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. And Sunday we will be, and yeah, so it's Monday to Thursday, 3 to 4, and Monday to Friday, 3 to 4, Saturday and Sunday, 11 to 4.
So you want 4 a.m. every morning?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was hoping that, you know, we could get people in the neighborhood when they finish work. There'd be a place for them to come and have a quiet drink, maybe food after work.
Happy New Year, Kaz. It's Frank Palolo. How are you?
Good. Get off the phone. Okay, anybody else here for anybody for this item?
Mick Melampi, who you may remember.
Right, he's on. Okay, yeah, we've got the letter from him. Can we hear from Mick?
Hi, folks. Just want to wish you all a happy new year. And I'm glad you got the letter from me. I wasn't sure when I saw Kaz chairing the meeting tonight. I wasn't sure if you may or may not have got it because I addressed it to Abraham. But I know Will is great at what he does. I just want to reiterate what I said in the email that I sent over, that Rory has been working in the bar and restaurant industry for. I've been here for 20 years, and I met him when I first got here 20 years ago. So he's extremely experienced. And Rory also showed an awful lot of interest in coming to a lot of community board meetings when I used to serve on Community Board 8. And he took great interest in trying to understand the nuances of how to run a business in harmony with the community. So I absolutely support this application. And that's my 2 cents. Great to see you all, and I hope to see you soon in person. All the best.
Thanks, Mick. Anybody else from the public?
No.
No. Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Marco has his hand up. Marco?
Sue?
I have a question. Now, the question is, we support the restaurants, and I think it's great. The only problem is now for the COVID regulations, the liquor, it has to stop at 11 o'clock. How we coordinate these regulations, the present regulations, or the COVID regulations, versus what I is requesting, means it will be a little bit contradictory in this case. The DOT said, okay, stop any sales of liquor at 11 o'clock. Now we're going to approve at 4. I think we have to figure out something, because otherwise we are going against all the regulations.
No, I think, Marco, like what we did last month, I think what we're approving is the indefinite license. However, I think last month, one of the items was that they will abide by the current regulations that are in force at the time.
So it should be a stipulation.
Correct? Sorry?
It should be a stipulation that they are.
Yeah, I think that's where we put it last month. It'll be, we approve, but with a stipulation that they follow the current regulations as they are for now. You know, they could go away in a year's time. Pardon? Sorry, what was that, Marco? I didn't.
Is the applicant willing to accept that motion, that stipulation?
Oh yes, whatever hours that you guys, you know, was at the moment. Like if we were going to be closing at 11, will be closed before 11. We won't be, whatever hours that at the time, we'll go by the rules and close whatever time we're meant to.
But the hours.
I don't think it's, that they should stipulate at this stage. It's the rule, it's the law for New York. So I don't think that we need to have them approve. They have to do it. So we don't need their approval for these regulations to be in effect.
You're right. The only situation is we have to be in peace with the present regulations. I mean,
correct.
That's the only thing is we have to coordinate properly because the applicants may be saying, look, I have it till 4 o'clock. Why are you coming to close me at 11?
No.
So it's better that everybody has to be in the same page. That's my point only.
Well, before we proceed any further, then let's stipulate that one of the stipulations to the SLA will be that everybody will abide by the current rules as written. And that will be one of the stipulations to, unless you disagree with it, let us know. Otherwise, that will be definitely one of the stipulations. Okay, thanks, Marco.
Thank you.
Russell.
Yeah, I would just revise it slightly to say that they will abide by the regulations in force, not the current regulations, because obviously the regulations could change and whatever. And the applicant's saying he's going to abide by whatever it is,
Yeah,
as
true, yes. Yeah, the current enforced, okay. Thanks,
And with
Russell.
that, I move to approve.
Anybody object? All in favor? It'll be a unanimous unless you raise your hand. Okay, this will go down as a unanimous. Thanks all. And again, to everybody, Alida.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
Okay, hold it.
No, it's not an objection to this cause, and thanks for calling on me. It's just a general question is that stipulation about complying with all current regulations going to go for all licenses, regardless of what the proportion of food, in other words, for every applicant that comes from now on, will that be something?
Well, if they're applying to the SLA, they will be serving liquor, and the current regulation or the rules now are that 11 o'clock will be the time. If they don't serve liquor, we're not hearing them, so it's
right.
It's a moot. So it will go to the SLA.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we had it last month, didn't we, Will?
Yeah, I believe you guys added something similar to that.
Correct. Thanks, Will. What's going on?
All right, we're ready to move on to item 1C.
Hold it, I've got to plug in.
Okay. It's going to take me a second to find, I believe Juan Perez is the applicant for 1C, so I'm going to unmute you. But if anybody else is here to speak about that item, please raise your hand.
1C, Lennox Hill Management, DBA Mediterranean Grill.
Yeah, this is me. I'm the owner of Mediterranean Grill, and currently have a fusion of Mexican and Mediterranean food that I serve at the place. And I just figured that it's a great combination to add liquor, beer, and wine into the location. Considering that the portion of food is 60% versus 40% of alcohol sales.
Okay, and again, you will abide by the current or by the rules that are in force at the moment. Anybody?
That is correct.
Anybody from the public on this?
Just a reminder, you use the raise hand or *9 if you're on the phone.
Let's make it easier tonight rather than having people under the CB members unmuted, Will. If they're going to approve, maybe we should just use the thumbs up rather than the raise hand. Then we no need to unmute and go through all that again.
If you are all okay with that, then that means that if you raise your hand, you have a question or a comment.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's use the thumbs up for approval. Okay. Anybody
Marco
Do
has
we
his
have-
hand up, so I imagine he has a question. He has
Okay, Marco, let's
Oh,
unmute it.
I don't understand what you're saying because you are hiding too.
No,
The
what-
point is, no, I'm sorry. I shouldn't go in that direction. But
No.
I would like to propose a motion to approve. Thank you.
No, what I'm saying is rather than raise hand and we'll unmute, which takes a lot more time, if you're going to approve, just use the thumbs up. Then we know that the motion is to approve. There's no need to unmute you and wait for all that, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, so Marco's the motion to approve. Second.
Second by Russell.
Okay, all in favor? Alita's clapping her hand. Okay, this will go down as a unanimous.
Just
Okay,
confirming it's the same group. Oh, thank you.
thanks. What are we up to? 1D, Kobe Sushi is
Correct.
the applicant here.
James, you can unmute yourself. You just have to confirm it at the bottom of your screen.
Bottom of the top, depending on.
Just wherever the mute button is, you'll have to click it and confirm, James. There you go.
You hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. So my name is James Wang, the representative for the Kobe Sushi. They just changed the ownership, so they formed the new corporation, but they is already operating more than 10 years. Everything keeps same, just like the changing the name.
So it's only a corporate change, nothing changes.
Yes, right.
Okay. Anybody from the public? Seeing none. Anybody from the board with questions? Seeing Marco.
Marco, there you go.
I don't know if I'm still doing the right thing. I would like to put a motion to approve. Thank you.
Thanks, Marco. Second. Do we have a second?
Yeah, Russell. Russell gave thumbs up.
All in favor? Anybody opposed to approving it? Okay, seeing none, 1D will go down as unanimous with the stipulations, of course. Yeah, one question I have at the moment, I never, the electric bikes, we have that at the top as one of the items that they will abide by. But since electric bikes are now legal, do we need to have that on the agenda minutes, and have they been submitting paperwork as such?
I believe they still submit the same paperwork that they have been submitting. So,
yeah, let's discuss this and new business then to eliminate that item. Okay, 1D, 1E, who's next? New Farinella, Fabio Granado, and Kevin Del Casale.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
And
So tell us about the restaurant, and it's only wine, beer, and cider, no liquor.
I want to wish you Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you.
The restaurant, it's a pizzeria. It's a pizza place made with special flowers that they all come from Italy. So very special flowers and with Italian grain. And we make this kind of pizza which is rectangular. So it's a different type of the regular classic pizza. And we like the location. It's a very, very nice, very good neighborhood location. It's close to the hospitals, it's close to the schools, it's close to the lots of people that they live in the area. And we wanted just to ask for a beer and wine. And just cider. And what?
Cider.
And cider, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody from the public on this? Seeing none, anybody from the Marco?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Marco, if you're going to approve, use the thumbs up button.
Okay, okay.
Thanks, Marco.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a second? Yep, Alida. Thank you, Alida. All in favor? If anybody opposes, raise your hand or thumbs up or thumbs down. And Alida. Can you unmute her? Yeah, she's got a thumb up.
I do not even see Alida still in the participants.
Oh.
I just got her.
I'm still a participant and I can't figure out how to lower my thumb. So it's not on this at all. I was just seconding and it got stuck. Thank you.
Thanks, Alida. Okay, this will go down as a unanimous also. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I see. Sorry, Will, not to intrude. I see Valerie very vigorously waving her hand, and I've now.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I just want to say, I for whatever reason, I can't, my hand or whatever is not going up on the thing, but can you tell me where the Farinella location is? I don't have the ability to pull up the agenda. And watch the meeting.
1132 Lexington Avenue. It's between 78 and 79 Street on Lexington.
Okay, is that your new location? Because welcome back to the neighborhood. That's all I was going to say.
Yes. We just reopened our location. Yes.
Okay, great. Welcome back to the neighborhood.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But I noticed you're away from 72nd.
Yeah, no.
So Valerie's going to have to walk up.
Yeah, but we deliver too, so we can bring it to her.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice new year. Hopefully,
You too.
For everyone.
Okay, what are we up to? 1F, an entity to be created by Roberto Ramirez, 1466 First Avenue. Is the applicant here?
So I see Arthur is here, and then is Vernon also here?
No, Roberto.
Roberto.
Ruperto.
Oh, okay. I see you waving. It helps if you use the raise hand feature in Zoom, but eventually we'll see you if you keep waving.
Okay, so tell us about the restaurant and what's going on.
So my name is Ruperto Ramirez. I have been chefing and managing and now owner of Canyon Road Grill at 1470 First Avenue for 27 years. So I saw this opportunity to open another place down the block, and we're trying to create a authentic Mexican food with a full liquor license, if possible.
Oh, it's not up to me. We recommend the SLA will be the one issuing the permits and licenses. Anybody from the public?
Yeah, we have Richard Holland.
Richard and, okay.
Okay,
Richard.
I'm muted. Hey everyone, yeah, I just wanted to say I'm a big fan of Roberto's Canyon Road, and yeah, I just wanted to voice my support for this. Throughout the pandemic, I know Roberto has delivered to hospitals in the neighborhood as well as the 19th Precinct Police Department. So I know he's just very well liked throughout our immediate block, and so yeah, I just wanted to say that we fully support this, and yeah, wish you the best of luck, Roberto.
Thank you, Rich.
Jennifer Chacho, public.
Hi, yes, thank you so much. It's Jennifer Chacho. I just want to say I fully support Ruperto and his restaurant and the opening of the brand new restaurant. Kind of echoing the previous sentiments, he's been extremely helpful within the community, especially during the pandemic, and just a huge proponent for this. So I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Russell?
Thanks. I just wanted to clarify, in the materials we had, it says that there's going to be an outdoor cafe, and I assume that's going to be in future. That's not part of this application yet. And my question is just wanting to confirm that the hours for the sidewalk cafe are going to be earlier than for the rest of the establishment. That is the plan for the sidewalk cafe to go to 2 a.m. when the sidewalk cafe opens?
I don't think so.
All
No,
right.
the outdoor cafes, they've got their own certain hours as compared to the inside. During the week, it's 10, 11 o'clock, and Fridays and Saturdays, 12 o'clock outside or something.
I guess we can deal with that when the sidewalk cafe application comes before us, if that's the
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
In the meantime, it's a free for all out there. Okay. Thanks, Russell. Okay. Anybody? Motion to approve from someone? Thumbs up.
Looks like Professor Jack Wiener also has his hand up to speak in the public.
Oh,
about
okay.
this.
Sorry, Alida.
Thank you. Quick question and then just a comment of support. I had thought that at one point Canyon Road was indicating that it was closing down some time ago. Did that not happen?
No, it didn't happen. It was gonna close when it was part of the big group and I took it over.
Understood. I just want to, I've been in the neighborhood for over 2 decades and I wanted to voice my support as well for Canyon Road.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alida, I assume your motion to approve? Yep, thanks. If anybody is against, speak now or it'll go down as unanimous. I assume Alida's thumb is stuck again. Okay, this will go down as a unanimous. Thanks, Roberta.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year.
Same to you. 1F. Oh, what are we up to?
So we're on to item 2, the corporate change applications.
2A, 88 Fusion. Okay, tell us a bit about this renewal or new application.
There he is. James Wang is going to be the person speaking about this. James, you just have to unmute. Find that mute button again and click it to confirm.
Mute.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. My name is James Wang. This is just for copying change. So they changed the principal. She's here on screen. And Jay Chen, she will be for the new president. Everything keeps same. So yeah, the hours still keep same according to your approved. So nothing changed.
Okay, so it's not a renewal, it's just a corporate change.
Yes, right, yeah.
Okay, everything else stays the same. Okay, anybody from the public on this? Any board members have questions, raise your hand. Otherwise, thumbs up for approval or motion to approve.
Russell, is that your thumb up for that? Yeah, Russell's thumb was up
Okay.
to motion to approve.
Thanks, let me, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's 2 is unanimous. 2B or not to be. New York Sushi Inc., DBA Amber, 1406 3rd Avenue. Corporate change again.
Yeah, it's me again.
You again.
Yeah.
Don't you have somewhere to go? Okay.
I think the manager is on the line, so she is already signing. And this one, same thing. Will be just changing the principal. Everything keeps same. So any question I can answer.
Okay. Anybody from the public on this? Any board members have any questions? Anybody thumbs up motion to approve?
Russell.
Russell, thanks, Russell. Okay, if anybody is again voting no, raise your thumb. Otherwise, it will go down as unanimous again.
Raise your hand, not just your thumb, because I don't see those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't see the thumbs, Russell?
No, I can see some of them, but I can't see all of them.
Oh. So the raise hand, okay. So maybe we just do raise hand for if anybody objects. Okay, thanks. Okay, then this will go down as unanimous. What are we up to?
Thanks, James.
2B, or not to be. What are we up to? 2B3. Oh. Okay. This is going to be, okay. So what are we up for? Green Kitchen?
Yeah, item 3, new business items. The first one up, 3A, is the Green Kitchen.
Okay, let's hear it.
Peter, is that you? Okay.
That's me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. First of all, as I started with last month, thank you to members of the Street Life Committee and Community Board 8. For those of you that remember, we were on this call last month. My name is Peter Kasimis. I am one of the proprietors of the Green Kitchen restaurant. Again, I'm imagining that some people on the call were not on last month, so I'll give kind of a quick introduction, and then I'd like to kind of address some of the changes that we've put into place since we last spoke. So Green Kitchen has been an operating establishment in the Upper East Side since 1931. I would venture to say that it is an institution within the neighborhood. My family has been operating it since 2007 in the 77th and 1st location. Just as a point of emphasis, we have never, prior to these last few months, had any issues with any of the state agencies. As many people on this call know, I'm sure as many of the restaurateurs on this call know, the last year has been incredibly challenging for the F&B industry. I'd go ahead and say that it's been that much more challenging for us. Again, we took control of our first location in 2007, about 2.5, 3 years ago. We decided to open a second location on 84th and 2nd. By nature of kind of New York City, the construction process was incredibly lengthy, tedious, and very expensive. We finally were able to open the store about 26 months ago. We successfully operated it, again, with no issues up until March, when the COVID outbreak started in this area. Unfortunately, shortly thereafter, my father, who was the main proprietor at the 2nd Avenue location, passed away. My younger brother was kind of plunged into a role that he was not ready for, did his best to navigate through a chaotic COVID period, where it seemed like the regulations coming down from the government were changing every week on the fly. It was during this period that we had some regrettable violations, primarily having to do with noise complaints and some social distancing violations. As a result of some of these violations, our liquor license was temporarily suspended 2 months ago. Last month I was on this call and I basically walked through this story and, obviously expressed our sympathy and our regret. I'm doing that again tonight, and I just wanted to, because I didn't have the opportunity to do this last week, as a point of emphasis again, just kind of point out all the changes that we've made in the past month or so. So the first thing, and I'll try and go through this as quickly as possible, but this is part of our remediation plan that has been submitted to the State Liquor Authority. A couple high-level points here. As I mentioned, again, my brother was a little bit overwhelmed when he was put into this position. The first thing that we've done is effectively demoted him. I myself now am in leadership role full-time now, along with my cousin. So we're kind of spearheading the 2nd Avenue location. We've also put in place a zero strike policy, which all of our employees have signed, outlining all of the measures that we have in place in reaction to COVID. We are in the process of hiring. We don't need it at the moment, unfortunately, because there's no in-house dining, but we're in the process of hiring a full-time security staff, which will be tasked mainly with just adhering to social distancing guidelines. A lot of the complaints that we got were stemming from the fact that we were playing music too loudly. And as a result of that, people were gathering in front of the storefront. We have removed the outdoor speakers that we had, which effectively removes the problem altogether. We're legally permitted to play music inside the store, which we will, continue to do, but at a much more respectable level. We tried to make every accommodation possible in our outdoor patio area. We have dividers up, and we are adhering to distancing with the tables. We also have installed a very expensive series of outdoor electric heaters, so everyone is comfortable. So that outlines the majority of the remediation plan. In addition to that, and this is part of our overall packet to the SLA, but we have remedied every single violation on our citation. I have lengthy photo evidence to support this. In 1 week, we got over 300 letters of support from our customers, which I think shows, again, the general appreciation for our businesses in the community. Since we've lost the license, we've been able to operate, in somewhat of a limited capacity, but we've been continuing to operate in a peaceful manner. We haven't had any complaints since then. And we've also received a letter of support from several of our local politicians. So in closing, as I mentioned last month, we are incredibly sorry for some of the unfortunate events that took place. We're doing everything in our power to remedy the issue. And we're essentially just asking everyone for an opportunity to redeem ourselves. We obviously want to be in good standing with the community. We feel like we always have been, and we're aiming to continue to be in the same place with all of you. So again, we've been a name brand within the community for a while. More specifically, our family has been operating for, again, over 14 years. We never had any problems before this. We made some mistakes. We're admitting to those mistakes, and what I'm trying to focus on today is outlining the measures that we're taking to make sure that those mistakes never happen again. With that, I would just want to say thank you again to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody from the public on this?
So just a reminder, use the raise hand button if you can. I do see Lisa and George and Professor Jack Wiener all have raised their hands at the points, so I'm going to go to them.
And there's a Jennifer. Okay, let's go in order then, Will. I'll leave it up to you.
Because some of these are only they're not sticking their hands up all the way, so I'm just going to go to Jack Wiener, Lisa, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, and I don't want to embarrass myself, and George, and then we'll go to Jennifer, and then to our board members. So Jack, you're first. You guys all just have to confirm unmuting as I call on you.
Thank you very much. Number one, as I mentioned last time, my sincere condolences about your father. In terms of the problems keeping up with changes in government regulations, I understand that, but that's the same for every single restaurant that comes before this board. You were asked the last time that you were here last month to delineate precisely how many violations you had, and also to delineate how many you had of each type of violation. You haven't done that, although some woman last time had expressly requested that you do that. I also had mentioned last time, and I'll reiterate, that I used to be a long-term customer of the restaurant, but the restaurant consistently flouted adherence with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I have a service dog. Its staff kept on telling me I couldn't bring it in. I showed them the law repeatedly. They said, I don't want to see the law. It is the worst experience I've had with a restaurant in the neighborhood in terms of adhering to the Americans with Disabilities Act. So while you say that you haven't had any problems in the past, that hasn't been my experience. And although I used to come to the restaurant 5 days a week, I haven't gone there in the longest time now because of this. My last point, I lost my work mentor 2 days ago from COVID. We're at the highest level of COVID cases right now in New York, active cases ever. I'm extremely sensitive to the spread of COVID, and I'm very upset that you had COVID-related violations, and I'm not feeling gracious in terms of suggesting, oh, sure, let's just let it go by. Let's not worry about it. There was a violation and it's been fixed. I'm very concerned, and everybody here, all the restaurants are subject to the same rules. If you were treated the way you were treated for a series of COVID-related violations, and that concerns me. Those are my points. Thank you.
May I interject at all there? Is that possible?
I'm sorry?
May I just, for 2 minutes, just respond to that?
Yeah, keep it short.
Yeah, I will. I just, again, I didn't do this at all last time, and I tried. First and foremost, I just want to apologize. I brought up the issue with the service dog to all of our staff the last time we were on the call. I addressed that. I apologize again. I wasn't there previously. I don't know when that happened, but again, I just want to express sympathy and my apologies there. In terms of the violations we had, I'm looking at them right now. I didn't know if I should go into full detail here, but we had roughly 30 violations. A lot of them had to do with issues that were not prevalent to COVID. The SLA now is acting basically as the liquor authority, the Department of Building, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Homeland Security, and they basically did a thorough inspection. And a lot of them were issues that, quite frankly, the Department of Health would have covered, and they were minor. But one thing I will say, because I can understand and sympathize that everyone is really sensitive with the COVID issues, is it is very difficult right now, and I think a lot of restaurants would attest to this if they've had any sort of issues like we have. Right now, we are legally required to be responsible for any patrons or any people within 100 feet of our storefront, which is very challenging, especially during the summer months where most of these complaints arose from, where we had hordes of people kind of making their way up and down the bars along 2nd Avenue. That's part of the reason why we're actually going as far as to hire a security team to sit out front in front of the store. So I'm not trying to neglect the fact that anyone brought up the violations last time. I'm happy to outline all of them. I'm just trying to be considerate of the time that we have here this evening.
No, one comment, the board did receive from the SLA all the violations and everything else. And the violations go from 521 up to about 1023. So that's quite a few violations spread over quite a long time. Okay, anybody else from the public?
May I just make a comment on that? I appreciate your raising that. I still don't know how many COVID-related violations there are. That was requested a month ago. But I'm glad you made that point, because I was going to ask that. It strikes me that if one is receiving violations in May, that should be a heads up that something has to be done. If those are continuing, not for a few days, not for weeks, but for months, then that's a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking at there's
Next
about
we had Lisa, and then I think George found the raise hand button.
I think
Yes.
there were about half.
Thank you.
I think there were about half a dozen or so COVID relations. Face mask, dining inside, and the staff not wearing face masks. So there were several COVID related. Okay, thank you. Next.
Lisa.
Yes, hi. Yes, my name is Lisa. Last name is Ohep Shalom. It looks harder than it is. Thank you for allowing me to take the time to speak. I just want to say that I am in support of Green Kitchen. They've been a wonderful addition to our neighborhood. I find that we've been compassionate for many during this difficult time. And I believe the same, we should be even across the board and extend our understanding to Green Kitchen. And, recommend that the license be reinstated. I feel that they've taken a lot of steps to rectify the situation. And, you know, I think the board especially, I believe, you know, I believe people feel that, especially during this time, they deserve another chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Anybody?
So
next-
we've got Jennifer, Matthew, English, and George. So Jennifer, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, everyone. Hi, this is Jennifer. I wanted to express my support for Green Kitchen and their employees. This has been a gem on the Upper East Side, and I think after hearing Peter's plan, sounds pretty well thought out. I believe they're the right steps, as someone was previously mentioning, to make changes of their errors. And I believe other businesses aren't facing the same scrutiny that we're giving Green Kitchen. So I would just love to get this neighborhood business back to 100%.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Next, Will.
Matthew.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you giving me this chance to speak here. I just wanted to speak on behalf of my support for Green Kitchen. I've known the Casimas family personally for a very long time. And as Pete mentioned, I don't want to be too repetitive, but they've been in the neighborhood for a while. Even before that, his father, as he mentioned, had the Market Diner before they moved to Green Kitchen. And I remember for years how hard he tried. They raised the rents in that neighborhood to keep the business afloat, to support not only his family, but all the employees of the business. And unfortunately, due to the circumstances, what happened with his father, as Pete mentioned, him and his brother were thrown into this position. And I think they've done everything they could to keep the business afloat and to keep their employees employed. And obviously they did make mistakes, and they are sorry for them. I just wanted to keep it short and just say, you know, I've known the family for a long time. They're great people, and just wanted to give a few words. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have English, and then George, and a few other people after that. English, Berthoumieux?
It's Berthoumieux. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say I support Green Kitchen. I live a block away, and it's been a very positive place and an opportunity for my friends and I to meet on a weekly basis. And I think that their staff, and I've actually met Peter's brother a few times and had great conversations with him. Everyone's very sweet, and it's really upsetting to see that the restaurant isn't thriving so much because the liquor license is currently not instated. And I would hate to see another restaurant just potentially lose business. So I think that we should support them and continue to support good people and good restaurant owners. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next? George?
George, you'll just need to, there you go.
Everybody, thanks for the time. Yeah, I'm here to support Green Kitchen. Pretty much echo what everyone else says. I see Green Kitchen as a staple for the Upper East Side. Although I live in Chelsea, I used to live on the Upper East on 87th and 1st. And so I would frequent the location on 77th and 1st. And then as soon as the one was open up on 2nd Avenue, I'd come as well. I just like to provide a quick anecdote. Peter and Ari are the type of people that take care of their community. And one instance that reminds me of that was then I was visiting Green Kitchen this summer, I believe, or maybe even during the fall. And it was busy, and Pete took his time to stop what he was doing to provide food for a homeless person. And this is not something that's made up. Homeless people stop by all the time asking for food and drink, and he's the type of owner that takes care of the community. So even though that they're paying customers and things like that, he literally went to the kitchen himself and poured, you know, soup into a container and provided it for a homeless person. So that's the type of proprietor and owner that Peter is. And, you know, you could see the remorse that's here, and they were thrown into a position where they didn't have perhaps the training that their father did. So, you know, I think in the spirit of the new year, plenty of folks are given a second chance, and I don't see why we shouldn't be giving one to Green Kitchen. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Who do we have next?
Francesco? Sorry, Cos.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Hi, I live on the Upper East Side, and I've been there for about 6 years now. I frequent Second Avenue just as most people do during the summer months. Unfortunately, we were all in our homes, and we all looked for value in our lives and getting outside. And I would say that many of the restaurants that were there were just abiding by rules that were being put in place on a weekly basis. And even though they did make mistakes, I would argue that if you looked up and down the avenue, many places were under the same type of guidance. I just want to show my support, and I want to be able to tell you guys that we are a country built off second chances, and this is something that we should be considering for them as well. I wouldn't want this to happen to any restaurant. I can't imagine what they're going through now, and I can't imagine what will happen for everybody in the future if we don't give our support to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to board members now, I guess. Barbara.
Thank you. I am one person that lost sleep because of what was going on at Green Kitchen. It was Mother's Day. I went out to buy myself Chinese food. Things were just opening. This was the first Chinese restaurant that was out there. And I did come across partiers with very loud music, and I almost had a heart attack because I couldn't leave this bunch while I was waiting for the light. However, I'm going to say when I crossed the street, there was another gang, and that was from the 5 Mile. It isn't fair. You didn't do things smart. What 5 Miles did was had a sign, get your drinks and walk someplace else, so that they all crossed the street, but it was the same thing. Your music was loud, and you have an excuse with it. I also think that the city made a mistake by allowing us to drink standing up. Once we had sit-down seating, the problem went away. I live on the corner of 87th and 2nd. I know the bars on 2nd Avenue. People did not wear masks. They was congregating. It was a general rule. Since then, Green Market has opened up a beautiful outdoor, the outdoor eating all summer and even now. It's been totally quiet. I think they did do it. And I had dinner at Elio's, which is a very high-end restaurant, which is literally next door. And I said, don't you mind having them as neighbor? They said, absolutely not. They're wonderful neighbors, and we have to have some sympathy. And I'm so sorry about your father. And I'm sorry about your brother being thrown into a situation like that. This must have been a terrible situation for him to be thrown into. And Elio's says I have full support for them. Elio's is not the cheapest restaurant on the Upper East Side, to put it mildly. If anybody knows it, it's one of the inn restaurants and that I do love for special occasions. So I really do want to support it. I hate to see another restaurant go. I think they have been an asset in our neighborhood, except for that one period. And I know that our community board talks about supporting small businesses, and I hope, we walk the walk and support this restaurant now. So in spite of the fact that, Peter, you gave me a very tough night, I will say, your brother gave me a very tough night that night I came home. As Will knows, I called him up quite hysterical the next day. It's passed, and I think that things were done. It was just such a horrible period, and that's my feeling about it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Russell. Will, by the way, apparently Valerie's complaining that her
Yeah. I see her. So, I mean,
Okay.
whenever you want to get to Russell and Alita and Valerie, I know that the three of them.
We'll leave Valerie till last. Russell. Russell.
Thank you. So I just wanted to point out, and Will can confirm this, but Green Kitchen did not post the notice flyers that they are required were asked to post in advance of this meeting. And this is an issue this question about Green Kitchen and the reinstatement of the liquor license came up at last month's Street Life meeting. And a big part of the reason that we laid it over is because we felt like there should be notice to the community about this issue before we take it up, to allow folks to come and speak to the issue. And part of that notice ordinarily is the posting of those flyers in the community, because that's, you know, not everybody is on the community board email list. That's just the reality of it. And so the reason that we have those flyers posted and require people who come before the committee to post those is so that people who are in the neighborhood, who are going to be most impacted by whatever it is we're taking up, are going to have some notice of the meeting. So that wasn't done. And I think the broader concern, I mean, to me, that alone is a reason not to act on this time, certainly not to act on it in a positive way. And, you know, if we are going to get into sort of the merits and the broader merits of it, I think, you know, the problem here and the problem with what happened with Green Kitchen is, yes, everybody has been challenged. And yes, there was a lot of changes in a short period of time to what was allowed, and things were opening and closing and so on and so forth. But I think the problem is Green Kitchen, those are indisputably challenging, but Green Kitchen was consistently worse than other restaurants on Second Avenue. That's the issue. And, you know, when you have basically Governor Cuomo talking about how bad things are on Second Avenue, you know, he was basically talking about Green Kitchen. And so to me, the issue is, and the fact that now there hasn't been this notice for this meeting, it's sort of a piece, right? Where you have a situation where other restaurants are able to comply with these requirements, you know, as difficult as it may be or whatever. I mean, we never have an issue with restaurants coming before us that don't post the notices, and Green Kitchen hasn't done it this time. And I think it's sort of, again, of a piece with what happened previously, which is other restaurants had the same struggle. It wasn't easy, and not everybody did a great job, but basically everybody was able to do it better than Green Kitchen. So, you know, all that having been said, does that mean that their license should be suspended indefinitely? You know, I'm not saying that, but I do think that, you know, if what's before us now is whether we want to make a positive statement about it, I think the fact that the notice wasn't provided is a relevant consideration here that just goes to what the problem was to begin with. So that's my concern with it. And that's why I don't think it makes sense for us to make a recommendation. And frankly, I would say we should lay this over another month, because we still haven't given the community the opportunity to be heard on this.
May I respond to that for 1 second?
Sure.
Okay. So yes, we didn't flyer, but I just want to make note of the fact that we did utilize as best as possible our social media platform. We have several thousand followers, and we did regularly leading up to this meeting advertise the fact that we were going to have a Zoom call and that everyone could kind of jump on board and provide their opinions. I will go as far to say that, you know, flyering in general is somewhat of an antiquated process at this point in 2021. And also, I mean, conventional flyering involves approaching people and handing out flyers, which I don't think
it's posting. That is incorrect.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No, but okay. So, I mean, again, I'm just going to make the argument that, again, utilizing social media at this point is a lot more effective than me going around and stapling flyers to which I don't even know is legal.
So Peter, you did receive on December 7th. Look, I don't like to play the bad guy. Like, as the district manager, that's just often my job. You know, we ask, you know, Roberto and every one of these restaurant owners had to comply with posting notice. We send everybody the same type of flyer and the same type of instructions. They all were able to do it. The instructions are very clear. They tell you where to post, not on trees, but on lampposts. How many to post? Tell us where you posted. They give us a little map. It's not hard. And in the time that it took you to post on Twitter, which is a self-selected audience, right? Like, they're people who like you already. And the same for your petition that you had with your clients. Like, I mean, it's good that they love you, and that speaks to bringing value to a neighborhood. But if you can't comply with like the thing, and we went out of our way to get you that flyer immediately after the meeting so that you could do it. So you could just prove that you had taken the step to like, you know, want to be in compliance. And it's great that you have moved the speakers inside. But, you know, the NYPD confiscated your speakers how many times?
They never confiscated our speakers.
Well, look, Will has made the points that, yeah, that I was going to make, which is that, you know, again, this is something that everybody does. And as Will pointed out, it's pretty obvious that, you know, people who are just in the community who might potentially have concerns aren't necessarily going to be following you on social media, right? That is, as Will said, it's a self-selected audience. So that's why we have that requirement. And again, it's something that everybody else abides by. And this is just the sort of root of the problem going back to how this all started, which is that everybody had rules that they were required to follow. And it was a challenging time, but other people followed them and you did not. And that's why we're in this situation now. So that's what the concern is.
But that's not, okay, but that's not totally accurate, guys. Look, I saw on this call last month and I was, again, very sympathetic, which I continue to be, but I was also a little bit meek. And so I'm gonna be a bit more defensive this time around. Again, I apologize that we didn't flyer. I'd still make the argument that our social media platform reaches and targets a hell of a lot more people than flyers on. Regardless, though, I just want to point out the fact that you're insinuating the fact that we were the only business on 2nd Avenue that was negligible and making these violations, which is just not true. And I think there's
wait a minute. Let me correct the fact. You are one of the unlucky ones that were caught. You are one of the unlucky ones that the SLA and whoever inspected and cited you. We know for a fact, and I can personally vouch, that the SLA, the DOT, the DOH, all the inspectors now have carte blanche to do what they want, regardless of what the restaurant is. We know that for a fact. But at the same time, there are hundreds of restaurants that follow what we ask. We ask that you post. It's a 5-minute time out of your busy day to do, and it's not over the whole country. It's not over New York City. It's within your area so that people know. As has been stated, you do it on social media. Okay, we have the email that you sent out to your followers specifically stated for them to support you and to let us know that they support you. How many of those live in the area? Can you tell me that?
I can't tell you.
Do they all live within 5 blocks of your restaurants?
I would be confident to say that the overwhelming majority of our followers who are our customers live pretty close to the restaurant. Yes,
Well,
I can't
that's an assumption.
that, but
We do not know where they live, but that's beside the point. But okay, sorry, Russell, did you have anything else?
No, I've made the points I want to make.
Thank you. Let's go to Alida and then Marco and then Valerie before she raises her hand again. Alida?
Yeah, I'm right here. I was unmuting. Thank you. I have to say, and I was chair of the board during the previous time, including December when the Green Kitchen showed up, that I agree 100% with what Russell said. And the fact that nobody here has spoken against the Green Kitchen testifies to the lack of information that people had. People came in December to speak out against the Green Kitchen, and we held it off until January to give more people an opportunity to be heard because there was such an outcry. The Green Kitchen was on the news about how badly they were behaving during the height of the COVID crisis.
that is also incorrect.
Let's
not correct.
I'm not.
No interruptions, please, from everyone.
First of all, I'm not done speaking. Second of all, it is correct because I looked it up this week and I found WPIX as one example with the Green Kitchen and another place on the Lower East Side. So you were on the news. You were almost the poster child for failure to comply. And we're not talking about the First Avenue restaurant, which is really different. We're talking about the one on 84th Street. And as I mentioned the last time, I was with my then 23-year-old who said, let's cross the street when we got to your corner because of the crowds congregating. People knew. I'll just cite an example from Governor Cuomo that he's put into his newsletter. There was a wedding in Maine. 55 people went and didn't wear masks. 55 people left, 128 people got sick, and 7 people died because they were exposed to it. None of those 7 were at the wedding, I'm sorry. Do we know how many people might have gotten ill from exposure at your restaurant? Do we know whether the hospitals had to turn away anyone or give someone less care because of someone who got sick from someone who was exposed at the Green Kitchen or even further down the chain? We don't know, and we'll never know, but we know that it's communicable, and we know that it's even more communicable now that they found the fast variant up in Saratoga. I'd also like to say that I'm really troubled that you didn't post, and it's not your decision about whether you prefer social media or not. I know that Will sends out these packets, and I know that other places comply, and your excuse just doesn't count that you feel that social media is a more effective means to communicate whether people should show up or not. And I know I sound angry, and I am angry because you put people at risk. For months, we saw how long these violations were going on. We know that the police came. We know that other institutions or agencies came. For months, this was going on. It was not a one-off situation. And there still doesn't seem to be a recognition of what happened and an interest in moving forward in the right way. And that is reflected in your lack of posting. I'd like to know which elected officials have given you letters of support.
We have a letter of support from Rebecca Seawright, Ben Kalos. My apologies. Let me just pull this up for 1 second.
Well, I apologize to jump the line here.
I'd also like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that what the letter says is, please review the owners of Green Kitchen's concerns and advise us. This is a letter to the State Liquor Authority. And advise us as to your conclusions consistent with all applicable rules and regulations. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So it's not saying please reinstate their liquor license. It's saying please take a look at this.
Correct.
So that in itself feels a little bit like a misrepresentation. I'm a lawyer. I say those words. They have a certain definition, but that to say that those are letters of support is not an accurate statement either. And it may sway people on the board in terms of voting if we were going to vote, but I happen to agree with Russell and don't think that we should for your failure to post. I'd also like to ask Will Brightbill, our district manager, who was the recipient of numerous phone calls, emails, texts, perhaps, about the complaints over these months of non-compliance. So Will?
No text, thankfully. Just like you guys had to adjust, we had to adjust. We moved our office remote. So at the point that we're all talking about, April, May, June, all of the entire office phone calls were forwarding to my cell phone. So I was getting phone calls at 11 o'clock, at midnight, just playing the music that you guys were playing and telling me that it was the Green Kitchen. People, that was multiple times a week. Barbara did call me as well, the day she crossed. I had several people who called to reach out. When this was covered on the news, it was covered by the Post. It was covered, the photo, in Pix 11 or NBC, I believe, was of the Green Kitchen. And you're not wrong that it was 84th Street and 2nd Avenue. It was, but it seemed to be everyone who called our office said it was the Green Kitchen. It helps that you had the speakers outside. It helps that your brother was on the news talking about it. But we had consistent complaints from the community, from the people who live above you or next door to you that complained, and those are valid concerns. And I don't want to soapbox too long, but it is important that you're a good neighbor to those who are most close. There's a lot of restaurants that I like to travel to go eat at. And I would speak gladly in a public setting about their great food and service. That are in Chelsea, like your person who spoke earlier. But that's a very different situation than living above a restaurant that's playing music on loudspeakers outside until midnight. And we did get a ton of complaints about it. And I don't want to speak longer about this, but
okay,
Can I just sum up for 1 second, Cause? Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize that the lack of posting, the categorization of those letters from elected officials are not indications of a willingness to comply and a willingness to be a good neighbor. And being a good neighbor means being extra cautious about COVID. When people are dying, when the hospitals are full, when people are sick for months at a time, I think that this is so serious and so troubling, but I will stop there. And thank you very much, Cause.
Thanks, Alida. Let's go to Valerie before she starts texting.
Thanks, Cause. I've been very quiet waiting. I was actually, I didn't realize it till it was just announced that this was the kind of posting, because based on the attendance and comments at our last meeting, I very much thought that we were going to have a much larger participation from the public this month, given the number of complaints that were, originally lodged at the community board. I do want to say, Peter, that we hear complaints all the time from constituents in the community board that we don't post enough, and that they rely on those postings to know what's going on in the community. So while for much of your audience, or maybe many of the customers of the GK, posting isn't an important part, but it is for various members of our community, especially elderly people who are not up on social media, but maybe stuck in their apartments having to listen to music all hours of the day and night. So I'm a little upset about that. I was actually the person who asked at the last meeting for you to come back this month and give us some more detail with regard to the actual violations. And I asked you at that time, and I don't think you gave me an answer, what was the punishment for this crime in addition to the suspension of the license? You had mentioned that you were, that SLA had levied various fines, but you never told us how much they were and if you paid them. So I'm going to ask you that again now.
Sure, and I can address that issue. So basically, we're in the process of being reconsidered by the SLA. I've become, unfortunately, very familiar with this process. So we received these violations. We've obviously had to pay legal fees out of pocket to the tune of thousands of dollars. In addition to that, we are proposing literally the highest fine recorded for any businesses that have had similar violations, which is $50,000. So obviously these are a lot of out-of-pocket expenses on our end. We're struggling to even figure out how we're going to afford all of this. And so that really covers at least the fine amount.
Okay, so let me follow up with that.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we were talking about in the small business committee meeting last night was, how to work with our local restaurants. Everyone in this community understands the great pressure that all small businesses, including restaurants, are under, trying to keep their businesses afloat until everyone can get back to whatever will be normal life. But my question to you is, and Kaz sort of mentioned, you were the one that got caught. I mean, it wasn't just one visit by the police or one comment to your restaurant. This was like repeated over weeks before they actually shut you down. Is that correct?
Can I address that?
Yeah, I'm asking you the
question. I'm trying to be, guys, I'm not trying to be abrasive by any means here. I'm getting a little defensive because we have generally felt that we have been kind of picked on a bit, okay? In terms of the repeated police visits, I'm going to go ahead and say that 90% of them were officers that would make their rounds along 2nd Avenue and in a normal fashion come to either, whether it was me or my brother or whoever else was there at the time, and simply ask that we disperse the crowd. And in many instances, they would be the ones actually dispersing the crowd. Because the fact of the matter was, the majority of these violations came in the months, and I think most people on this call would agree, from May, June, July, and I guess part of August, before we actually had our outdoor seating reinstated, so people could actually sit down as opposed to just congregate in front of our storefront. Okay, what would happen is the police officers, who we have a good relationship with, by the way, would come. They would come to the scene because of noise violations or congregation and basically move the crowds. Obviously, we did a lot of things wrong, and we're admitting to these faults, and we're trying to, again, put in.
I haven't heard you admit to doing anything wrong yet. I haven't heard you admit to any specific, I haven't heard you admit to any specific violation yet. Not one.
Okay. Do you want me to go, literally, I can go through the list of the violations if that's what we want to do here. We've provided.
I'm just trying to, you're asking us to support the reinstatement of your license.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we're just trying to, we're on a fact-finding mission here. And we're trying to trust you to give us the facts.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm asking you, like, what were the range of the violations? I mean, did you have 50 violations that had added up to $50,000?
No, it's somewhere in the ballpark of 30-ish violations. And some of them are as, I don't want to say simple, but in all fairness, I mean, like, some of them are like not posting "do not smoke" signs on the storefront, which in all fairness, like, my father was in the restaurant business for many, many years. You don't really see too many restaurants that have those out in front of the storefronts since like the early 90s when that was first implemented. Some of them were small like that. A lot of them were due to the noise violations. I would say that that was the main culprit here. And we obviously made a mistake with that. Again, the outdoor speakers that we had are gone. Those will never be put in place again. I think generally speaking, by playing the loud music, not only did we have calls coming in from the neighbors, which we had an excessive amount of 311 calls because of noise violations, but we also had natural congregation in front of our store.
Can I just stop you right there for a second?
Sure.
So you're getting these complaints from the neighborhood about too much noise, but then you continue to get the complaints about too much noise. So I'm not understanding where the remediation is.
Well, the remediation is in place now. First and foremost, obviously, I can't go back and change anything that happened. I'm hoping that we're given a chance here and given the support of the community, because if we're going to look at our overall track record, we have a much longer track record of operating in a normal, peaceful, and support, a good fashion for the community versus this, let's say, chaotic period that took place, which in fairness was not a normal period of time. We didn't get weekly updates on the noise violations.
Let me just stop you right there because we're not going anywhere. Why should we treat you differently than any other restaurant? Why should we give you a pass? Why do you deserve the pass? Why do you deserve us to support your license reinstatement? And by the way, I do know for a fact that your 77th Street location was closed for several days in 2019. But for a violation.
I can comment on that. That was
before you said it had never been closed.
Well, no, but that was not in violation.
Doubt. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay. But there are a lot of people on this phone who have a lot of access to facts. So again, I'm asking you, how do we, if we support your application for reinstatement and we get another restaurant who's been a long time member of the community and the same thing happens to them, how do we go to them when they come to us and say, we made a mistake, please help us get our license back?
Well, first and foremost, I hope for everyone's sake that there isn't another period of instability like this. And I hope that we never face any sort of a global pandemic like this. But generally speaking, and maybe this is just my stance, I think that the community should be pro-business. Okay, because, and I can use ourselves as an example. We've had 2 businesses on the Upper East Side. We've been successfully operating them for a pretty long and sustained period of time here. If we can't get this license back, then we're really facing the risk of closing not 1 but 2 businesses, right? So you're deflating the close economy, and we're also talking about upwards of 70 people losing their jobs. I'm not just on this call today on behalf of myself, my brother, my cousin, the owners. I'm also looking out for my employees.
But your employees weren't wearing masks.
We have one instance of our employees being documented as again, the majority of the issues that we had with the COVID.
Valerie, let's, before we go further with that, Valerie, some of the members, the Street Life members, Will sent out all the violations, the letters we got from SLA. Now, to clarify things, the automatic fines go from the SLA anywhere from $1,500 to $50,000, depending on the violations and the severity.
Okay.
There was several indoor dining was closed. There were 2 or 3 occasions that there was indoor dining when it was supposed to have been closed. That's 2 major serious violations. There were 2 or 3, I think, that the staff was not wearing masks. Now, this has happened on several occasions over these 6 months. So, and with the remediation, some of the things I will come up with later, I've got my own questions on that. But to clarify things, there were several violations, and the fines go from anywhere from $1,500 to $50,000. And what everybody keeps telling all the restaurants, if you get the $1,500, by the time you pay legal fees, you pay extra fees to the SLA to have the hearings, just pay the $1,500, admit the no fault, not guilty, just no fault, and then you're still getting a hearing 6 months down the road. But in the meantime, you are operating. But if you get several of these, the ultimate is license suspension. And
well, I appreciate that, Kaz, very much. I'm going to just end here and say that I agree with Russell that I believe this matter should be laid over until we can really hear from the rest of the community, or at least give them a chance to respond. Thanks.
Thanks. I think Marco had his hand, but I don't see it now. So let's go to Barbara.
I'm muted? No.
Yep. You're on, Barbara.
And then Marco does have his hand up. It was just further down.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's go to Marco and then Barbara.
Oh, thank you so much, Cos. I have a problem with the internet connection. I don't know what happens. But the point is, my first point is, we are pro-business. We are not against business. We are against poor management business. That's what we are. That's it. So we are straightforward. 1, 2, we must follow the open law regulations. It's not that we are going to say put a very simple paper to stick on the lamppost or somewhere. We want to have to obey the law. And that is the argument of the chair of the community board and the past former chair of the community, even with Valerie. That is the point. Our point is basically we have to abide the law. We are not the bad guys that we want to delay or to deny the application. We would like to approve, but we cannot approve something this is unlawful. So we have to be very careful. And our argument is just only we follow the law. And the second point is, since I have problems on the internet, I would like to have from him all the violations grading and the remediation of each of them, so we can have in advance and we can say, if for instance, it's a very simple issue, putting a mask, and you said the remediation is you're gonna follow with all the employees to wear masks, that's fine, because at least we know that we accept that you did a mistake, but we cannot let it go unless you propose some reasonable remediation to this problem. Tonight, I was planning to support this application. I don't want to disapprove this application. The only thing I agree is to postpone for the next month, and that was the motion that was presented for Russell. And I think I support that. And let me put a strong emphasis. We would like to help you, but you have to work with us, and we need to post this simple paper on the street. That looks ugly, yes, That is antiquated, yes, but that is the law. Thank you.
Barbara?
Just want to say I've listened to my community board friends, and I am somewhat more, I certainly understand what was said. I just want to give a little bit of background of the time. If this was regular times, I voted against bars when there was loud music and people came and said bad neighbors. But first of all, at this time, restaurants had just opened up. It was brand new. In fact, you didn't hear it for weeks later, which pissed me off because I had been calling the police the week beforehand, as Will knows. They were not I would like to know how many violations such as 5 Mile and along 2nd Avenue. I was buying drinks for friends and we were going to a plaza to be socially distant and celebrating with a drink for a nice spring day. And the guy, give him my money, the guy hands it and he's not wearing a mask and he's breathing into my drinks. I didn't want to waste time and say, give me my money back, because I would have had to be in front of him that much more. I ended up throwing out all the drinks and not bringing drinks to my friends, all up 2nd Avenue. I fought to get Park Avenue and other streets open because we needed distance. This was a reason. The streets there were horrible and they weren't the only ones. I went along Madison Avenue today and it was heartbreaking, the number of stores that were closed. There were several restaurants that all have quote outdoor dining. Not one of them are meeting the what I understand the rules of it. It's not outdoor dining when you have a little door is the only opening that's there. So I walked with a friend up and down until we found some table on the street because I wasn't eating there. So things are, and the other point is that at that point, the police were doing nothing. And if you were as addicted to de Blasio's reports as I was in those days, his thing was, we don't want to do anything. We'll go there and make friends and I don't mean to be political, I'm sorry, but to give them masks. And that's what was going on. I think it was wrong for this music. They should have stopped it quickly. The reason there were gangs there is because the music made this wonderful young persons that were not wearing masks. And, it was a wonderful happening after a horrible winter of all these young people being stuck in. And I had sympathy for them. Even old people like me wanted to get out very badly. But I just feel in this time, I'm certainly for postponing it, but I wonder if we should have the same rigidity of following the laws. In terms of posting, I totally agree. We give you instructions, you follow our instructions and don't say we're wrong and you know better. You have to follow our instructions. But I just hope that we realize that in this day and age, when things are so horrible and so desperate with everybody, that we don't follow the rules. It isn't as black and white as it is in normal, whatever normal is, but normal times. That's my feeling. But I certainly understand and have been swayed by things that Alita said and Russell said and so on. I certainly understand that. And I hope that an attitude is different and rules to follow next time.
Okay, I think we've heard from many people of the public, and there's a few hands that they've all spoken. So by the sounds of it, I think from what Russell has stated, was that a motion, Russell, or?
Yeah, I would move to lay it over.
Okay. Okay, any board member against laying over?
Second.
Thank you. Any board member against laying over? I see no. Alita, you against? I see your hand.
No, I just lowered it. Thanks, Cos.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so by the sounds of it, before we close, I have some questions on the remediation. Remove portable speakers from the storefront. Outside speakers have always been illegal. Every time anybody comes to the street life, we always state that there will be no outside music, and everybody has always agreed to it. So that was illegal from the start. So that violation is valid and should have been done before. Installation of electric heaters on premises and removal of propane tanks. Propane tanks in New York City have always been illegal. They were just made legal just very recently and only on the sidewalk, not on the street. So were these tanks there before they were legal or after they were legal?
They were made
and
there. Sorry, they were there after they were made legal. But again, the legislation was a little bit shady, or not shady, but gray, because it kind of came in without us fully being aware. We had an empty propane tank inside the restaurant.
Which is illegal to have tanks
100%,
inside.
yes, and we will admit to that. And I just want to comment also on the outside speakers. Obviously, those are not legal under normal times, but I will also mention the fact that open container law is not the norm under normal times. And we were not the only business that had outdoor speakers on Second Avenue. Okay.
The other one, sidewalk obstruction removed, maintaining 8-foot clearance. That has always been the law. That has always standard that there is a minimum of 50% of the sidewalk or 8-foot clearance. So to remediate that, that should have been done right at the start. It should never have happened. So while the remediation letter that you sent is fair, but I have concerns with some of these that have always been illegal and you continue to have them illegal. But anyway, that's beside the point. That'll be for the next meeting. So the motion is to lay over till February, the first Tuesday in February. And please, please, if you receive word, instructions, or anything from the community board, do not question it. Just follow it. Okay, so we will not take any action tonight on this item. However, from what I know from the SLA, you have a full hearing from the SLA board sometime in the future, do you not?
Yes, we do.
Right. So, and when is that?
We are applying for, there's a meeting. They're reviewing the materials that we submitted tomorrow.
Okay. Have they given you a date? Have they given you a date for the hearing?
I'm not aware of how exactly it's going to evolve, because I know that the chairman and the rest of the board are reviewing our reconsideration packet tomorrow. Again, a lot of the details that have been requested here are in a full comprehensive package. It's like 70 pages that we've provided to the State Liquor Authority, which I'm happy, obviously, to share with everyone here. I believe that's being reviewed tomorrow. And I'm not sure in terms of a formal hearing when that will take place. But again, we weren't even permitted a formal traditional hearing last time because, unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, we can't even have our attorney present or able to opine at all.
Well, I feel sorry for you to some extent, because I know it's several restaurants that have got inspections up the gazoo, while there are many, many others that are blatantly breaking the law. So I think as far as the street life and as far as the community board and as far as every politician, we need to examine the laws, what the laws are, and also to notify the restaurants of what the laws are, because we all know for the past 9 months, we've been living in close to hell. Anyway, sorry for the ranting. But anyway, so you'll come back to us in February, will you?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, next item, a la turca. I've noticed Raymond pacing up and down impatiently, waiting.
Of like making like a bigger, I don't like, I feel like
Sleep.
Alita, you're waving.
I
Is this
am.
about a la turca, or is this?
No,
who's
on
that, Charles?
Cause I'm concerned, I don't know what the procedure is with the SLA, and if they're receiving 70 pages of material in favor of the Green Kitchen submitted by the Green Kitchen, I don't know if there is a mechanism for the board just to explain why we haven't heard it and why we're not saying anything about the Green Kitchen, so our silence is not viewed as acquiescence.
Well, maybe we can, Russell can, or the chair can write a letter to the SLA or coming from the board office that we heard the application, but at this stage, we are unable to make a decision and have asked them to come back in February and to keep us appraised of what the SLA is doing concerning this item or this establishment.
Sure.
And maybe to just reiterate that we'd like our voice to be heard, whatever that voice might be.
Oh, definitely, before they make a final decision. Thanks, Alida. And Russell, is that agreeable?
I mean, I can write I'll just write a letter that basically sort of summarizes the situation that we laid it over. I mean, to me, it seems like it's possible that in future we could act positively, we could act negatively, or we could decide to not do anything. So I don't want to suggest definitively that we're definitely going to take a position on it, because I think it's possible for us to just not take a position on it in future.
Oh, definitely.
Again,
okay,
so
I will leave it up to your legalese wording.
Right,
Thanks.
I only meant that they shouldn't take or not submitting anything as an agreement with the Green Kitchen. We may well agree with them or not take.
Yeah, I would assume that they would take it as a no action, but we can just write a letter to make clear that we haven't done it, done anything on it.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
And unlike normal applications, there's no formal process for the community board, so they're not expecting anything from us. The Green Kitchen came to us asking for support.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. The next one. Let's get Raymond off the hook. Who's from Malaturka?
PR and Charles Lynn.
Yes, the attorney for Alaturka. We were here because there was a complaint, a noise complaint by one of the members of the neighborhood, and we were requested to come here to address that.
But is this for the old one on 2nd and 73, 74 or 85th and 2nd?
74th Alaturka, the currently licensed the last 14 years.
Yeah. So what are you doing about the noise?
Well, I'll have my client address that, but let me just make two references. First of all, it appears that was one individual who's been making the complaints. Apparently there's some altercation between the owner and this individual, and I believe that he was the one that was making the complaints. When I also went on to the 311 website for noise complaints, I did see that there were 6 noise complaints for Alaturka, and on the noise complaints that were, and it was stated previously there was something like 33 complaints that were filed, but like I say, I picked up 6. One was on October 1st, 2020, and that was at 9:12 p.m. And it's reported that the police department responded to the complaint, and with the information available, observed no evidence of the violation at that time. Then there was another one on July 2nd, 2020 at 9:20 p.m. And the police department responded to the complaint and took action to fix the condition. And there was another one on June 25th, 2020 at 9:45 p.m. And it shows that this complaint does not fall under the police department's jurisdiction, whatever that means. Then there was on June 25th at 8:29 p.m. This complaint does not fall under the police department's jurisdiction. And then the last one that they had on the schedule is October 24th, 2019 at 10:55 p.m. The police department responded to the complaint and determined that police action was not necessary. So this is the information using due diligence that I found. Like I say, not being at the premises, the one the best to also address this would be my client, Suleiman Sassir, with any other additional information that he may have.
Okay, do you want to say anything, Raymond?
Yes, Cass. You know me. I'm neighborhood like 26 years already, and I'm very good with our neighborhood. But there's only one issue. One person probably is a personal. I don't know. He was here every night to telling me he's gonna call the 311, and I asked him too many times what was the problem, what I can do for you. He didn't say anything. I have a video from him, and I try everything. And then there's only one person. I mean, I'm here like I'm serving like second generation in this neighborhood. You know me. But I mean, he's telling me in my face. He said he's gonna bother me. He's gonna call every day 311.
We get the inspections.
And wait, cuz. And we get the inspection every day from the liquor authority. 3 times a day. They come, I joke with them, I talk with them, and then they shake hands, they go. And I never get the violation. Almost like I'm very friendly with them because they are here every day.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened. I don't have.
So you're getting it. So you're getting more than the regular inspections from, as opposed to other places that are getting no inspections. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, I don't have a music. I don't use the street because I'm okay. I'm happy with the other side. Even I have options. I don't want to use it because I want to get the risk. I never see a drink in my front of the restaurant. And then, trust me, whatever I build up here, right now I'm a full house. Everybody's sitting. I have the people so safe, comfortable. That's what I'm stressed with. Everybody loves my place. I mean.
Okay, we have Luna from the public.
Yes, yeah. Here's the one.
Hi. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So I don't know about these accusations. Given the weather, I just want to sort of say, given the weather, the situation has improved. Obviously, there's less traffic there, fewer people eating outside. There are still 2 DOB oath violations on the property for the structure that is built into the wall of the building. There are, regardless of what the attorney says, that says there are only 6 violations. That's simply not true. There are over 70 COVID-related social distancing, street side seating violations. Okay. There are propane tanks that are improperly used and stored. My concern is that once the weather improves, despite the social distancing rules, the outdoor dance performances that take up the entire sidewalk and you aren't able to walk by, okay? The 3-foot sidewalk spacing for people to walk by, the extension of the street seating far past the restaurant frontage and in front of residential buildings, and the owner will continue to claim he owns the sidewalk, will begin again. Not to mention the mobbing, threats, assault, verbal abuse, and intimidation of the violations, and when the violations begin again. Perhaps the liquor license can be made contingent on at least resolving DOB oath violations and to have them post flyers before the day of the next meeting. The owner has been intimidating. The owner has been aggressive. The owner has not been in compliance. There is loud music, as we've already heard. There is no space to walk on the sidewalk. And in spite of the fact that the owner claims that he is well loved in the neighborhood, there's a lot of people who do not like the establishment and the way that it is run. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Any board member have any questions?
Jack Wiener has his hand up.
Okay.
I have no idea what Mr. Luna is talking about, but I happen to live at 300 East 74th Street, so I'm directly across from there, and I walk by it every day with my dog. And in terms of those assertions by Mr. Luna that are observable by anybody walking there multiple times a day, I have to say they're concocted. They had nothing to do with reality, and it strikes me as odd. He sounds very angry, and I understand that. I'm not sure what the redress is for his assertions, if they're true, of DOB violations, if that's something with this board, or what he asserts is aggressiveness or feelings of the community. Certainly doesn't match my feelings. Those are his views. They seem to be unsubstantiated other than by him. And I don't have anything other than positive things to say about the restaurant. I have eaten there a number of times. They're the one restaurant that gives me my cutlery in a plastic bag that's sealed. And with my cutlery in that bag is a mask. No other restaurant does that. So the assertions that they're COVID insensitive seem somewhat off base, if I might say that. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Fontana, D. Fontana, from the public, I assume?
Yes, could you hear me?
Yes.
I'd like to say I am the owner of 254 East 74th Street. Been here around 30 years. I've been here the whole time, but Turk has his restaurant there. And talking from myself, I never observed anything that the last person that said a lot of bad things. I have tenants in and out, not one complaint. And I find that unusual from the last guy that was saying all these things, because I'm right here. I'm here 24/7. I would know what's going on. I see what's going on. And I just find it odd that if there was something like the first guy was saying, I would know. I would see it. I would know something. But I haven't seen any of it. So I hope that, and really 3, 4, 6 months down the road, all this is going to be behind us. And hopefully that we can get there sooner than later. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Alida.
Thank you. This, in full disclosure, I've been to that restaurant over the years on an infrequent basis, but it sounds like there's something personal going on, and this may be a good opportunity for Luna and the restaurant to talk to Oath, who administers a kind of a mediation program between restaurants and bars and members of the public, because if we're not hearing a lot of complaints and we're not seeing the kinds of violations that have been referred to, then this is a way to help address what sounds like a personal dispute or a dispute arising out of some kind of personal situation. So that's what I would suggest. Thank you.
Thanks, Alida. Maybe you can send Will, and Will can send Raymond the information, and maybe they'll get it going.
Yeah, I think Will has it.
Yeah, it's on our website, but it'll take me a moment to pull it up, but I can share it in the chat in a few moments.
Yeah, and Raymond, just see what you can do as far as, and I don't know. Anyway, Marco, I assume you're going to be a DOB expert?
Yes, I am. Well, I'm going to read.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up, Marco.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The violation said, work without a permit. At the time of the inspection, observed an outside additional attached to the building. The restaurant expanded their dining room, included 13 more tables and chairs. The structure was masonry on the, and that's ended the description of the violation. So that was issued on 10/5 of 2019. So the violation isn't real, and that's the only thing I'm going to say right here. It's not that the person that spoke is saying the truth. That's basically what I'm saying right now. Thank you.
Okay, Marco, thank you. Anybody else? Any motion to do what? Or we just take no action, or what's the board members feel like? Russell?
Yeah, I'll just, so two things. First of all, yeah, I also have been to Alaturka, and I will say, you know, when I was there, I didn't notice any noise issues. And what Professor Weiner said about the, you know, wrapping this cutlery in plastic and including a mask with it is true. You know, I guess what I would say is I think Alita's suggestion is a good one. I mean, I don't think there's other action for us to take really at this time. I mean, I think, you know, if we kind of learn of additional complaints or violations, maybe we sort of revisit this. But I think, you know, on this record, maybe, you know, it would be good for as Alita said, you know, if they can sort of work out whatever the differences are, and I think there may be a personal element to this, and maybe they can mediate it.
Good. Thank you, Russell. Any other business that we have tonight? Any old business? Anybody with new business? Alita? Oh, Valerie's shaking her hand again. Let's hear from Valerie then.
I thought you said you were going to have something in new business related to the enforcement.
I was going to bring it up, but you know, the co-chair is the last one to come up with something, so it's up to the board members to come up first. Anybody else have anything? Alita?
Thanks, just unmuting myself. If you're going to revisit the idea of the electric bikes, I'd like you to visit the idea of scooters and motorcycles, which I have seen with increased frequency going the wrong way. I mean, these are fully motorized with license plates, riding on the sidewalk, riding the wrong way down the streets, riding basically with abandon. And there just seems to be a geometric increase of them over the last several months. And they're as bad as electric bikes are in terms of danger. They seem much worse. So if you're going to look at that.
Yeah, I think that should be adjoined with transport. So I will leave that up to Russell to organise and get that going. That'll be definitely a co-SL and DOT. Thanks, Alita.
Thank you.
Kaz,
Yes.
Are you, if we're talking about this, you know, you had mentioned that you wanted to take it off the application because they're legal, but I do think that perhaps we should keep it on the application and maybe phrase the question differently. Like, do you have your own delivery people or do you use one of the services? Because I think that's important to know, because they don't have any responsibility for, you know, whether the bikes are legal or not. Still if they're drivers and they're employed by the establishment, then they're responsible for them obeying the traffic laws. So I think it would be nice to know whether they have their own fleet, if you will, or they're using just the services.
Yeah, maybe we can get more information. The board office can get us more information on the electric bikes and everything else.
That question, Valerie, is on there. So I think we could leave that. There is a question that says, do you use bike delivery? And if so, is it your own bike delivery or is it through a service? So we do ask that.
Yeah, the electric is a separate, there's one for bikes and one for electrics.
Yeah, so I think the issue is currently we ask, you know, do you use electric bikes? Will you agree not to use electric bikes? And so I think the idea is
Sorry, thank you for the clarification.
So I think we would want to basically at this point take that off, but I think we can sort of revise it to make it clear that we're also asking people if they do use electric bikes now, which are allowed, or any other sort of vehicle, as Alita was talking about, just make sure that whatever they're using, that they have to comply with whatever the rules are and not drive motorcycles in a, you know, in a bike lane and things like that.
Thanks. Right. Yeah, last night I brought up the fact that the small business with the inequality of inspections, some inspections are getting in, some establishments are getting inspected, you know, 3-4 times a month or even more. Some are getting violations for, one infraction. While walking around, I'm looking around and I'm seeing places that are fully indoor dining, which is illegal, and they've been, they've been breaking the law 7 days a week, but nothing happens. So I think we need, it's not against the establishment, but it is against the one establishment that's going to cause problems for all the other establishments. And as also what came up last night, the street and the sidewalk are going to be indefinite, or, whatever the next administration wants. But at the same time, establishments are spending thousands of dollars on the assumption that they will be permanent. This is something that, I don't think it's only street life. I think it's street life, sport business, DOT, zoning, vendors. It's the whole community board. Maybe this should come up under the community full board review and have the politicians or elected officials of the city let us know what the plan is for the future once this pandemic is over in, 2, 3, a decade, or, whatever we want to assume, what the plan is. So I don't think it's street life, but walking around, I've been noticing more and more of illegal structures, sidewalks that are taken over, 3-foot clearance, indoor dining on the sidewalk with no consequences. And I think I asked the board office, do they get cited? And I think the DOB or DOT said, yeah, the building will have a lien against the building. But in the meantime, the illegal structure is on the sidewalk, 3-foot clearance, fully indoor dining, which is illegal, and nothing's happening. Something's wrong with the laws. And I think we need clearer laws communicated to the public and to the establishments that are feeling the pinch. Green Kitchen, they got caught. They're 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 that were unlucky. But at the same time, everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people are playing the odds, and it's the 1 or 2 that get caught. And, we are here to help the public and the businesses. But at the same time, if somebody is really, really breaking the law, and we know, they know, the laws need to change. That's my grievance for tonight. Okay, so Professor Jack Weiner, do you have a comment on that? Or yeah, if we can unmute it, we'll keep this for another short while, and then Barbara, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah. I have 3 very short points. First point is I want to say how impressed I was by the board today, especially in the degree you have access to information that I don't, and that people in the community don't have access to. And your degree of preparation with regard to Green Kitchen was really impressive and very helpful, and I wanted to commend you on that.
Well, that wasn't me, that was the whole board.
When I say you, I'm addressing the whole board.
Thank you.
Because there were a number of people who raised points. Number 2, I had a general concern about those structures as well, and I was going to ask actually what could be done. I walk around the neighborhood all the time with my dog, and I see more and more those structures that are really indoor structures according to the law. And when it comes to enforcement, I don't know if that's within your purview or if you can communicate or not, but I think the law is clear. These are violations of the law in many, many cases. And what we need is enforcement. And my last point is I would just say as a general matter, as we've been discussing many violations, for me personally, I care so much more about COVID-related violations than about noise violations or all the others. And whatever the economic consequences, I would hope the board would feel the same way. And when you have restaurants with indoor dining, when it's not allowed, things like that, I would hope that you would be extraordinarily strict. And if it's a time to be lenient, please be lenient about noise or something like that, but be extraordinarily rigid. I have friends who have died. I have friends who have gotten sick and have long-term effects, even though they have survived. I would ask you to really be sensitive to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Barbara, I assume you're gonna.
Just going to say something very quickly that I think we should study, whoever it is, the quote outdoor dining structures for the restaurant's sake. They're putting thousands of dollars, and then if they're going to find out they're illegal, they really are up the door. They all think this is outdoor dining. And I want to say, like places like there's I forget the name of it, East End or something, on First Avenue between 87th and 86th Street on the east side of the street. There's the, the cellar doors, and they have the tables over it. And then there's a bus stop, a bus thing, and there's no way of walking through. And if you do, it's in between the tables where everybody's without a mask. And I always forget not to walk on that side of the street. So there's a lot of illegal that maybe we should be, I don't know, are we waiting for the police to, for the enforcement to do it, or do we bring it up, or how do we work with it? But the outdoor dining, I think, is very important to discuss.
Will?
Yeah, no, we do get complaints to our office about specific locations, and we just bring them up to DOT. DOT sends an inspector out, and they issue a fine and usually like a lien until it's fixed. Cause was asking about this the other day, and he can speak to it a little better than I can. But but if you see a place that is in violation, and it's easy to see these places. I see them too.
They're all over.
Call me or shoot me an email with the location. We'll flag it for DOT. They usually are very quick about going out to inspect.
Right.
Some of the restaurants take that as we should fix this, and it's because they probably didn't know that the thing that they did was illegal. Then some of the restaurants don't change anything and are just going to keep eating the fines and hope that they can write them off at the end of the.
This is a bar, and this poor bar will have no other place to go. I mean, I feel badly, and I haven't complained, but there is an empty store next to it. They could expand next door, or to, something, not right by a bus stop with the, the bus shed that's there. And
well, currently anybody can expand next door if it's open with the owner's permission.
And this is a closed store.
Yeah, so theoretically they could expand there legally rather than take up the bus stop. Okay, so I guess Russell and Will have a lot of work to do.
Alita has her hand raised.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Russell. I think Kaz's idea of getting a bunch of committees together, and I'm wondering if we could invite some residents and some small businesses, restaurants, stores, and hear from them what they'd like to see and how things should work with the sidewalks and the streetscapes and all of the people and interests, and have a hearing and invite various city representatives to do that as a joint community and board effort to hear what's important while an administration is forming and hopefully considering what communities want. So just an idea, Russell.
Thank you.
I mean,
sorry, Russell.
No, we can talk more about it offline.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Alita. Thanks, everybody. Sorry for the long-winded on some people's part, mine included. Thanks, Will.